Dokkan Battle's 10th anniversary is upon us in only about 2 months. We'll officially be in what I would consider the most important time in Dokkan Battle history. A new anime is currently airing to positive reviews, with dazzling animation quality that will no doubt find its way into Dokkan Battle sometime soon. The game is going through a complete new player overhaul, with strides made to enchant as many players as possible as we ramp up to the full, proper sync, and what I'm sure many at Toei hope is an all-time profitable year. But I would be lying if I said that we haven't taken the good with the bad. Even though the 9th year that we're currently in looks to be JP Dokkan Battle's best yet, today I want to take a look at 5 things Dokkan Battle needs to improve to continue rolling in revenue after such a long time on top, and make sure to leave your suggestions for new modes, features, or changes going into year 10. Number 1 on my list is going to be something I bark on a ton, and that is free-to-play units suck. They're bad. Typically their animations, especially as we get better and better quality, are wasted. Every single time they put out a free-to-play unit that is even somewhat usable, they're only somewhat usable. Characters that are bound to get power crept in an instant, and the thing people don't realize when we say that free-to-play units suck is that they suck in such a small window of time. They're not good if you put gear on them, because Dokkan does not have a system to scale your units. As you are in the game of Dokkan Battle, if they do not release a unit as good, it will not have a future as good. You could say, spoiler alert, easy A's, this and that, sure. But I mean, as the unit is released base, if it is not released good, it is typically only going to get worse. And this is quadruple so for these free-to-play units, which are getting better and better animations, which are just wasted development time, because the new free-to-play experience isn't going to involve these units in Super Battle Road. Super Battle Road's too easy now. Extreme Battle Road's too easy now. The free-to-play player, which I've spent the majority of my time on as Dokkan, is just going to wait to get units to do this with later. They're just going to pull banner units and old easy A's, etc., and then play with those. They're not really going to farm these units like Dokkan would expect and make use of them in the moment. It's the sort of thing that makes me beg the question, why release Frieza and Cooler as a dual unit, a unit that is so hyped they could have released it proper as an LR with better animations and audio quality, when no one is going to use this thing in 2 months. No one might use this thing in a week. We just got it. I've basically not gone on the game since farming it. I farmed it for the stones. I got it to SA10. I got it to level 120, fully awakened. I looked at its animations one time, and then I put it away. It's in my box. Why waste the dev time? Why waste everyone's time with this useless content? Instead, you could put that towards our second problem, which is going to be these dead weeks are terrible, and they're not like unique to the gacha genre. Dokkan has uniquely bad dead weeks. You got it? I put up a tweet in response to Truth asking for hot takes for his discussion video, and even Garesh here says that Dokkan needs a new infinite farm. There's nothing to do on Dokkan but link level. Unless it's anniversary, unless it's Golden Week, unless it's Tanabata, unless it's worldwide, the game is dead. And Golden Week is a fucking far cry. Let's be honest. Golden Week is me reaching for something good to say in terms of content drops. There's no reason we're still putting money and effort and dev time into these shitty free-to-play units if you're not going to make them good enough to want to get on the game to run, or if you're not going to just use that dev time on events and missions and something. And I guess, this talk of dev time and such brings me to the third point, which is Dokkan has too many redundant events. Infinite Dragon Ball History, Legendary Frieza, Goku, GT, Vegeta, blah 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 events, Boss Rush, Peton Battle, Chain Battle was around, it's not anymore, World Tournament, even what is it called? I have to look. I have to go look at it. Ultimate Clash. I didn't even remember Ultimate Clash's name. Not because I don't do it. I do it every time it's up. It's just that it's so nothing. Dokkan is making so much money. Dokkan has so much potential for content avenues, content streams, and yet all it ever really seems to do is double down on these very lazy formulaic versions of other things that it already does, meaning that the only events worth being excited for are the challenge events. And I think the challenge events are getting more and more interesting. They're clearly playing with the space. They're clearly attempting to lead us to new avenues of difficulty with like the bomb mechanics and this and that. But when they release the worldwide download celebration and the content is shit, even if there's a lot of it, Truth and some members of the community who like Broly say there's a lot of content, even if it's bad, it's still good that there's a lot of it. No, absolutely not. It's dog shit. Even when they release a lot of content and it's like bad difficulty events, what do we get on the game to do then? Because as we said in point 2, there's constant dead weeks. And as we say in point 1 with the free-to-play units, the free-to-play units all suck. They suck by other gacha standards. Maybe some free-to-play units are good by Dokkan standards, but they suck compared to other gacha standards because there's no gear, so we can't make them unique or niche or good in that way. And the hidden potential system is dog shit, so at best you have a dodging Cyberman because you put evasion on every single free-to-play unit and you hope it dodges. So what do we do? What do we do when they're not even useful in things like Super Battle Road, because Super Battle Road is just difficult enough to warrant using banner units and EZAs and etc., just so you can blitz through them, but not difficult enough that it's actually a challenge that you want to repeat. So you have Super Battle Road, Extreme Battle Road, Infinite Dragon Ball History, the Legends events, Ultimate Chain or Ultimate Clash, World Tournament, all these different styles of events that are essentially the same thing that don't challenge you at all. Imagine if they were still making difficult extreme battle stages that felt like something you wanted to revisit. Much like the case of games that have towers, like Epic 7 or the new JJK Phantom Parade, or I think even, what is it called? Black Clover, their gacha game. They take specific answers to their problems. They take categories, they take colors, they take whatever it is. So because these characters aren't made to just age out in a day, you can actually use them on these specific things to get specific answers, giving your account more validity when you're a collector, when you're someone who's been around a long time. Right now, I would say 98% of my box is completely garbage. It's useless. And I have a ton of the meta characters. But why would I use them? Where do I use them? Is it nowhere? I think it is. You can kind of see how I'm layering this video so each point feeds into itself, because the next point is that Dokkan's power creep is uninteresting. And I know what you're saying. Lone, every gacha game is power creep. It's all uninteresting. It's just numbers. That could be true, but it's kind of not. In Epic 7, there's a character named Leo. He's been dog shit since the release of the game, essentially. He had no place, he had nothing to do. His thing was that he put bombs on characters. Eventually, he found his niche years later because he was really good at one-shotting one of the gear farms. One of the only other gear sets you farm in that game, outside of speed and crit, comes from Banshee, which is an element advantage of, and which he helps to one-shot. So he found his place. This will never happen in Dokkan, because the game's not built for it. Characters just get power crept and they're gone. When Beast Gohan is power crept, the day Beast Gohan is no longer good in Dokkan Battle, there will be no place for him. Because he as a character is just stats, guard, and that's it. He's not interestingly made. He's not a very cool kit. He's fine animations, but he will die once the stats become too much for him, because Dokkan does not set its game up from a developmental standpoint. It does not set its game up so that you can come up with interesting solutions to the content. There is a wall for Dokkan, and it essentially keeps characters from ever outliving their use cases. There are some exceptions like Piccolo, who go on to be very useful for a year, but I would say that if that's ever the case, it's mostly because they decided not to punch your dick in with power creep that time. Like, it is what it is. And last but not least, again, this all layers into itself because we just talked about kits. The hidden potential system problem is unsolvable, it feels like, because they don't want to address it, and it just makes dupes kind of ass, because either a character needs dupes, and if they need dupes, they're probably not very good, because most characters are getting 3/4 of the entire, hidden potential system necessity. They're getting either crit, or they're getting effective against all types, or they're getting huge super attack damage, or they're getting additionals, or they're getting dodge, or they're doing all of it in their kit already. So they don't need crit themselves, they don't need additionals themselves, they don't need dodge themselves, they don't need, etc. Blah blah blah. The game has moved so far past the need for the hidden potential system that we're currently in the worst time to pull dupes. Dupes are basically only there for people who are whales and want to see the biggest stats possible. You will never need 2 fully rainbowed characters as your leader. You will just take the whales as your friend lead and you'll be good. You will never need 2 of them. And if you do, as I just said, that character is bad. What I'm suggesting as a system that stands in place of a Zenkai boost maybe, or like the new 900% to stats boost that the 2nd and 1st anniversary characters have received recently. I think Dokkan needs to make those farmable, and you need to be able to place one every so often. Put it behind a cooldown. Put it behind a cooldown, say like I put one on a character, and unless I want to farm the materials again for a whole week, I can't remove it. Put it on a character, give them 900%, and then make it so that it's only characters up to a point. Like right now, they can only EZA 2019, 2020, and 2021 characters. Make it so it only affects that class of character. You know what I mean? Make it so it only affects characters that they're not currently trying to market to you. So I can't do this if in a week Super Saiyan 4 Goku DFE comes out. I can't put it on him, obviously. But let me put it on Trunks from the Cell Saga. Let me put it on the Hit and Goku from 2021. The non-EZA version. Let me put it on these characters to give them something to do. Because there's no gear, so if a character is bad, the hidden potential system is just going to make them a dodging Cyberman, and that is not enough. That is boring, that is lazy, that makes me feel bad when I pull dupes, because I'm just going to put dupes on them and then they're going to go back in the box. Because the dupe didn't help the character enough that I'm like, oh, I can use them now. It didn't change shit. It just makes them good once they finally get an EZA. But hopefully the EZA is already good enough that I wouldn't need the dupe in the first place. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And you know what? For the sake of team building, because team building is something people talk about in Dokkan, even though it doesn't exist, because you can't build a specific enough team to outstat a boss just being too powerful. Unless you just run it over and over and you get the dodges eventually. So for the sake of team building, let's say that you're only allowed to use one of these characters per team. Oh my god. Now I've got showcases. Now I can build a unit up. I can put the boost on as many units as I want, but I can only bring one of them in. So now I get to use Majin Vegeta, maybe. The Int Majin Vegeta. Maybe I get to use, I don't know, the Goku or Vegeta from the Majin Buu saga that hasn't EZA'd yet, the 2019 one, I believe. Just do these simple things. This stat boost has opened my eyes because it says they can do it. It means they can enable it. So make it equipable. Let me just use these characters. Who would it hurt? You already don't put out enough content for the characters you release. Why does it matter if I can beat all of it with a 2019 character now? It doesn't. But that's going to do it for this one. If you like the video, subscribe to join the club. Am I coping? Am I yapping? Am I stretching? I don't know, man. We all gonna make it. Have a good one. Peace.